Here we go. Round 2 of the Atheist Roundtable. I'd like to thank all of these lovely atheists for joining me. John Anthony, Jez Davis, Nathaniel, Cynthia, and Kenneth. How are we doing?
Good.
Great.
Awesome. I appreciate everyone doing this with me. As we all know, there are people from all over the world right now, so it can be tough lining up schedules, but I do appreciate everyone willing to join. So starting with John, quick, introduce yourself and tell the audience about you.
I'm John Anthony, former Christian turned atheist. I have a Facebook group. I enjoy debates. I have a debate group on Facebook, Ultimate Christian versus Atheist Debate. We call it the Thunderdome. But, just if you like doing the debates and feel like you want to get involved with that, come on by and join the group. I think my social media and my YouTube account is in the description, I believe. But just come check out what I'm doing if you want to.
Hell yeah. Jez.
Hi, yeah. English. Spent a decade or so going to church when I was young. Gradually just moved away from that. Now, atheist, for want of a better phrase, it's not something we really jump up and down about in the UK. It's just simply, I happen to be that, and that's the way I think these days.
Awesome. Nathaniel?
I'm in Portland, right behind the shadow of Mount St. Helens, 40 years ago tomorrow, eruption there. So one half of Divine Disbelief YouTube channel and pursuing a PhD in New Testament studies.
Oh, that I did not know.
Nice.
You are dedicated, my friend. Cynthia.
Hi, I'm Cynthia. I'm a social worker in Chicago. Also one half host of the other show that comes on YFNA, right? YFNA News called The 13%. And I've been an atheist for approximately almost 2.5 years, and was a very long time Christian. So yeah.
Which I still can't picture. Knowing you now, it really is hard to picture you as a Christian.
I don't know what to say to that.
All right, Kenneth, the official debater of your friendly neighborhood atheist channel.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, one of a few, I hope. I mean, there's a lot of people on here doing great things, but yeah, I mean, my background is similar to a lot of the ones that you just heard. A longtime Christian who became an atheist by the application of skepticism to my dogmas. So yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everyone for joining. I am super excited to dive into these wonderful questions we have lined up. And if you have any questions for the Atheist Roundtable, put them in the comments and we will get to them. So the first question, which I think is the most important one, and I'm sorry if you can hear my dog.
You'll probably hear mine soon too.
All good.
All right. So why does lack of belief require activism? Now, to give you an example, I had a Christian friend say to me, well, if you're not believing anything, there's no reason for you to be an activist. So who would like to jump on this question first? Jez, it's all yours.
I would say you don't need to act on it unless the people who do believe are trying to in some way influence the way in which you live your life.
I agree. I don't look at it as so much as activism as it is counter-activism. It's more or less the reaction to the infringement of rights. I mean, you don't have to look far to see it. I know some of you live in other countries. I don't know what it's like there, but I live in the South in America, in the U.S., and every day you can see it. And you go outside, look around, it's there. So I don't think it's really fair to call it activism, because if that wasn't happening, there would be no need for it. So it's more. I think it is more counter-activism than it is anything.
I agree.
That's an important way to put it. Sorry, Jez, go ahead.
No, I agree. It's just it's asserting your right to live as you choose, and not have people with an ideology or a dogma decide that you should be limited because of something that they think. Within reason, obviously, you've got things which we all agree are unacceptable.
Yeah, and to try to very as directly as possible answer the question that your friend posed, why does a lack of belief require activism? It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. And every single thing that Jez is pointing to, that John is pointing to, there are other beliefs that inform the activism. A belief that one shouldn't impose their beliefs onto you would then spur the activism. But strictly speaking, no, a lack of belief doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't lead to anything.
Mm-hmm. Can I just touch on that just a little bit?
Absolutely, please do.
So I would definitely say that I agree with everyone as far as your definitions, as far as lack of belief in activism. More so when I think about it is that oftentimes theistic and dogmatic thinking oftentimes are placed in law and government and policy, and oftentimes that infringes on others' rights who happen not to be possessive of beliefs, and it actually influences our lives. And then oftentimes, and you have to activate per se in order for those particular policies not to be infringing on you.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving on. So the last roundtable we had was about 1 month ago, and I had several people say to me it could have been viewed as like-minded individuals like ourselves as just simply bashing other groups' belief systems. How does the atheist apply the same skepticism to their own worldview that they apply to others? Nathaniel?
It's an odd question. You get an echo chamber, it's going to echo a lot, but I think the skepticism should arise regardless of any claims made. I think, I know that there's some things that we disagreed with while we were in that same room. I know some incredibly conservative, quote unquote, pro-life atheists. So the as we mentioned that day, the only thing we have in common, I don't know. I mean, we're not like friends. The only things we have in common is none of us believe in any gods. Some of us more so than others, and the skepticism arises around everything else. I think it's probably easier for some of us to say I was a Christian and so I emphatically deny that religion, or Islam, or some other, even the Abrahamic religions are the big three. But I think it has to come down to, sure, yeah, we put the same skepticism into religion as we do into people making claims in politics, or anything like that. And I think that that's just a skeptical mindset that we should have regardless. And I think that most everybody does have, except for, in reality, religion, their particular religion, politics, and then usually college sports, especially Alabama.
I mean, it's true. Alabama is the best there is. When they wake up, they
see. This is what I'm talking about. Lack of skepticism. Lack of skepticism. See, it's just an opinion based on emotion.
Every loss that happened actually never happened. It was in your mind.
See?
That was in your brain.
No, they even included national championships they never got. See, it's just there's no skepticism.
None.
Ideally, skepticism is the starting point. Before it should precede the atheism. I mean, just like what Nathan said. I mean, I've met atheists who believe in ghosts, for example, and
it's confusing to me.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that somebody, just because they, identify as an atheist, that they're smart or skeptical or anything else. And it's an interesting thing. It's a real problem, I think, in the atheist community, this sort of air of superiority that can happen. Sort of smug self-satisfaction of being like, well, I'm the enlightened one who doesn't buy into your bullshit. But let me tell you about the ghosts. It doesn't work. So
# woke culture.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
You know, I was actually speaking with my boyfriend who's also an atheist about this whole thing about worldview concerning being an atheist.
Yes,
And
I'm glad you touched on that. Go ahead.
Yeah. One of the things that he said to me is that he feels absolutely that being an atheist does influence your worldview, and I don't completely disagree with that. But even when it comes to like skepticism, I would definitely say like if being an atheist kind of goes hand in hand in some cases in being a skeptic, then I would definitely apply that, worldview or way of thinking to anything. I'm a person who I know that I'm pretty sure that you guys are all familiar with, all types of conspiracy theories that have, crossed our desks from time to time, especially during the pandemic. And, just like if I'm speaking with like a theist, when they say, well, God does exist. And the first thing I say to them is prove it, and I would even say that to any type of other conspiracy theory or anything that, takes like that would take like some evidence, empirical evidence, something that would actually say that yes, this is more than likely factual. To me, it's kind of like just utilizing like the scientific method in order for you to realize, or even like Ethan, when we were talking about put everything in a courtroom and then put it out to scrutiny and then see if it holds up or not. That's the same thing I had to do with even my beliefs. Like I need to put this under scrutiny to see if it holds up or not. And then after a while, it did not, and so like anytime that something is actually like posed to me, unless I like, unless I like know it or for real or not, I'm like, well, let me go ahead and do my research. Let me go ahead and see if this holds up. Let me see if this is something that actually, has like legs or not. And then that would determine to me if that is more than likely factual or not. So if that is considered like, a way to use your skepticism for a world view, so be it.
I do think that it's kind of interesting. We hear this term a lot, and I never really heard it until I started debating theists. It was this atheist worldview.
Yes,
atheist worldview.
Yeah.
And it's there's no such thing as an atheist worldview.
Yeah,
there's an individual worldview,
Right.
and the point of it is to be consistent in your worldview. But I would argue that the theist is the one who's not being consistent in that worldview because they're operating under on some levels, everyone operates under a naturalistic presupposition that because when you look both ways before you cross the street, you're not operating under the worldview that God protects you. So you're operating under the worldview that God either isn't there or isn't going to protect you. So it's amazing how the thing is when you're trying to show your world, you're trying to show that you're applying, like Cynthia said, you're being consistent in those things. You're applying the same skepticism to all things, and not just the things and not leaving out the thing that belief you hold most dear. So we can talk about atheistic worldviews all day long, but to me that's such a bogus term to wiggle out of something and try to put the burden of proof on someone else.
Well, John, how from your worldview can you say that? Like you don't have a foundation for the chair you're sitting on in your worldview.
Oh man, I love it.
In the interest of fairness, that I would stipulate that there's also no such thing as a Christian worldview or a Muslim or a Jewish worldview. That you find just as much disagreement within various faith traditions as you do outside of them, which is odd if there's a God orchestrating, what people are supposed to believe and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, that's because we're all in rebellion. And we
That's
hate
true.
God. And
That's true.
We have, as the book of Genesis very specifically says in chapter 8, none of our thoughts, every single one of our thoughts is evil, all of them. So when you give money to food banks, as by the way, I recommend that you do right now, whatever your state you're in, we give to the Oregon Food Bank. That's an evil thought, apparently.
Yeah.
So just so you know. So that's why the flood happened.
Oh, you shouldn't do it because you aren't justified in grounding that thought.
That's true. My morality doesn't come from anything. So, yep.
I'm not justified in going outside right now or anything. I'm just.
You are not justified in going to stores right now. Don't stop doing that, people. Golly.
I want to touch base a little bit more on this worldview thing because I was listening to a debate earlier between Shannon Q, and is everyone familiar with the initials DD?
Oh my god!
You had divine disbelief.
I was listening to the same one today. That's so funny.
Okay, I'll just say his name, Darth Dawkins.
Why'd you say
Is that his name this week?
That or
Has he not
Duncan
changed?
Atheism?
I think it was Duncan when he spoke
who
at
knows?
Shannon.
Yes.
Oh wow.
And people like him are so fixated on demanding that you be accountable for your worldview.
No, he isn't.
It's purely tactical.
That is
right.
He
But there's a
doesn't care
question.
one bit about anything, any answer you give.
I
He
agree.
doesn't care one bit. He has his script in front of him, and he is there to manipulate people. He has no freaking purpose on the internet.
Where are you going, Ethan?
Yeah, well, for one, I would actually love to debate that guy. And I won't debate anybody anymore. But honestly, I think my peaceful, calming demeanor might work a little bit.
No. Nope.
Who lied to you? Who lied?
Oh,
No. Ooh, what is that?
not me.
Flood watch.
Where is that coming from? Someone mute it.
Not Oregon.
Okay, so Jez, how would you address a Christian apologist who demands that, will insist that without a worldview, or you can't actually know anything? That's a very loaded question, and but I do want to.
My worldview would be skeptical in that I want to know as many true things as possible. And the way that I will go about doing that is via empiricism, just inspecting. I'm thinking right now, starting from the very basics, ground up, lighting a fire, building a house, what works, what doesn't work. I can know things by a simple comparison. From that, trial and error, we can develop the world we presently have. We from putting one rock on top of another, we can develop, in the end, after hundreds of thousands of years, the germ theory of disease. It all comes from just empirical trial and improvement. And we do not need an underlying worldview, some sort of ideology or creed to shape those questions, to shape those experiments. We just need the next step.
Well, yeah, but that's just your naturalistic worldview. You have no foundation. There's not an answer to this nonsensical bullshit.
Exactly. You could,
And they do it on purpose because they know there's not one.
worldview is such a loaded word. Whatever you say, you can encompass that within a label of a worldview. But it's just trying to poison the well.
Yep.
And it's a deeply attractive idea that is sold to believers, that they can have a worldview. You can have it all figured out. We can give you this thing, and it gives you the key to viewing the world. And it's a nonsense idea. I think more debaters and atheists in public discussions should just immediately turn and just do like a Ferris Bueller to the audience and be like, or like a Zach Morris, like, what is this guy even talking about? Like, are you guys following this? Does this make sense to you guys? And honestly, just like appeal to the intelligence of the audience and go, do you really believe that a God that wants to have a relationship with us, that this is his guy? That this is the best that we can do?
When I first read this question earlier on, I was thinking, well, what is the worldview that somebody has? I don't believe that a creator is behind everything. So what, therefore, is my worldview? Do no harm? Do no harm? Is it I don't know, Star Trek's the way to live your life? I mean, what the hell is my worldview?
If your worldview is something
I don't walk around all day with a kind of little notebook in the back of my head of everything must conform to my worldview. It fits the situation.
I agree with that. I was just going to even say that worldview most likely to me just boils down to what's going on around me at the time. And basically what's in my environment, what's affecting me, what's affecting my family, my community. I mean, like that's more so and even like my experiences that I've garnered, like, and I believe I said this on the last roundtable, that I have, it really has more so of an effect on what I consider worldview than anything else. It's just like, you know, lack of belief is just something I happen to have, and does it influence kind of how I see the world a little bit? Sure. But I guess like when you think of a worldview, you think of like there's a lot of different things that actually would make up what that is, and it's not just lack of belief in a God per se.
Right. So before I get to my next question, which is going to be from Sassy Heathen, I just want to point out that this is quite literally my favorite YouTube name of all time. Can you see the screen? I don't know why, but I love that YouTube name, A God for the Atheist. I think it's pretty original. So
that's as good as Atheist Pastor. Atheist Pastor is a good one too.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Right.
Good.
So real quick, in under a minute, Sassy Heathen was just wondering if every person here comes from a religious background. So me first, I would say yes, I did believe in God. I did go to Catholic school, but I never had any crazy religious experience, or I was not. I will say this: I'm one of the lucky atheists, because all I needed was the right tools to be like, wow, I had no reason to believe in God, and it was literally just like, okay, cool, I'm done, and it went out from there. And I was fortunate, but there are many people who do suffer and go through, you know, I don't have a lot of issues when they leave religion. So starting with you, John, did your background?
Yeah, I was raised Catholic. I went through confirmation and the whole nine. Eventually, I ended up, I guess, transitioning into the evangelical, non-denominational church. When I got into my teen years, I eventually actually became a youth minister for a couple of years, and it was probably shortly after college, probably about 3 years after I graduated college, I started really looking into it, and like I said, found that the evidence was very lacking, and then I started identifying as an atheist.
And was there a struggle for you? Did you go through any type of depression? Like, sorry if that's too personal,
no.
Please feel free.
At the time, it wasn't really a struggle because my whole my circle of people, there wasn't that influence to stay a theist or anything. It wasn't like I had to worry about losing my job or family members disowning me or anything. But as far as the probably the thing that stuck with me the most was the fear of hell. That fear of hell thing kind of does stick with people. I can remember having very vivid dreams about, you know, about things like that, about end times, hell, things about, you know, dying and going to hell, things like that. So that does stick with you a little bit sometimes. But other than that, it wasn't really that traumatic of an experience. No.
Okay. Jez, I believe you are actually the one that is luckier than me in this scenario, but your background is not religious, correct?
No. And I remember my dad was going to confirmation classes when he was a kid, and then the vicar died. So he took that as a sign, never went back. And then when I was a kid, I think my mother tells me I was about 9-year-old, and I asked to go to Sunday school because 2 of my friends went and had a good time there. So that was that. I stayed for about 10 years in church choir, and then that was just sort of, as you like yourself, Ethan, just sort of grew out of it. Just didn't fill that. There was no hole to begin with, and it certainly didn't fill one. It was just somewhere I went, and I love church architecture. I like RSCM music. You know, I think you can have some wonderful experiences there. You can experience the numinous, the sublime. It's fantastic experiences to be had in places where humans have come together to collectively build something. There's a lot to be learned and experienced there, but you don't have to carry anything there that isn't there.
Okay.
So that's
Nathaniel, I'm actually curious because I don't know your background. Did you have a religious background of some kind?
Yes.
Can you expand on that? You know, in a brief, like 1 minute.
Yeah,
summary.
sure. Yeah, when I was 13, a girl invited me to church. I said, woo, this girl likes me. I went to church, got saved. I was in Assemblies of God church, moved down to Texas when I was 13, 14 years old. That was back in 1998. Mom took us down there before I wanted to. And then I ended up becoming like a Baptist type thing. My grandparents are Methodist, so I was like, kind of Christian when I was a kid. But then I went to like the whole Assemblies of God thing. And then I ended up going back to basically Assemblies of God. They're all Pentecostalism of apostolic nonsense anyways. And I went to the Navy, came back to the Navy, became a youth pastor, went to college. While I was in college, was like, oh, this is all bullshit. No more gods. Bye.
I just wrote all that down.
Okay.
Sorry.
Honestly, I wish I had done this during that. So I could have just sampled that 30 seconds and just made that a video in and of itself.
Yeah.
That was tremendous.
We're actually adding at the end of we have a surprise of something like that at our upcoming video at the end of it. So you'll
nice. Cynthia.
Real quick, shout out to Arthur Ward. That's my boyfriend, and he is the self-proclaimed Pope of Atheism. Yes, he is.
Arthur Ward.
Yes. He said he is getting the hat done as we speak. Okay, so for me, I was raised Episcopal, and also I went to Catholic school for the majority of my life. The more I would say, like in college is the first time that I went to like a public school or per se, and then while I was in college, I got saved. And then while I was in that whole realm, ended up going to a non-denominational church, that came out of Church of God in Christ, which is like the Black version of the Assembly of God. And they, and then I was even studying to be a minister. While there, I ended up coming back to Chicago, and then, then like a lot of my, my beliefs were challenged. I was kind of going through like a personal, like, what is what I believe is real type thing. Ended up actually becoming Buddhist, and through Buddhism led me to atheism. And here I am today.
Oh, that's awesome. And I am glad you are here today.
The atheist Buddhist.
Yes, I am yes, because I still practice Buddhism. So I'm an atheist Buddhist. Yes.
All right, Kenneth, the official debater of your friendly neighborhood atheist. Wait, real quick. I hear you have a debate coming up this Tuesday
against the great and powerful Dean Meadows. Yes, we're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it.
I've already presupposed that you lost that debate. I'm sorry.
We're doing it.
Dean's he's not a precept guy.
He's not a precept.
Dean's a nice guy, though.
I've debated him twice. We have another one coming up next spring. He's as much of a friend as you can be. What are you guys debating?
Does God exist is the topic.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm still looking at that one.
Watch this. Hey, buddy.
But that'll be Tuesday night. So and on the whole question of religious background, I mean, we could do a whole series on deconversion and my background and all the crazy stuff. But I was raised basically as deep in the sort of far right evangelical Christian homeschooling, like, we were deep into it, man. We were like Shia evangelicals. And it was like, from that, I went into the army with this idea that, George Bush was, totally sent by God to straighten out all those Muslim countries. And I was going to be a part of it. And, it was deep into it, man. And then, long story short, that didn't stick. So here we are today. And
I'm glad we are.
Yeah. But yeah. Hardcore, man. Hardcore Christian. I believe I had a personal relationship with the risen Savior, Jesus Christ, would be how I would have said it back in the day.
Yeah. Which
Same. I know that life, Kenneth. I know that life.
Which channel is Dean going to show you the God exists on? Where's that going to be at?
It'll be on Friendly Neighborhood Atheist, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know it would be here. Awesome.
Yeah, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
Okay, so 4:30. Got it.
I'd actually, at some point, Nathaniel, I'd like to talk to you about the debate Kenneth had with Joel, a precept. It was,
can I get in on that too? I'd love to talk about that.
We'll get to it. I would like to point out that God for the Atheist did personally reach out to me He is a very nice guy. I don't agree with what he says, but anyway, he did upload evidence for God on his channel. I have not had a chance to review it. However, I did send it to a Christian friend who, Larry the Christian, who immediately was able to just.
I thought you were going to say you sent it to Dean, and I was going to be like, "You're helping him out? What are you doing?"
No,
Evidence.
See, here's the thing. I have hope for my friend Larry the Christian because he is a skeptical guy in many areas. So I'll send him these things because he'll then break them down and point out how wrong they are. So I feel like I'm slowly, it might take forever, but I'll get him to our side of the fence. Okay, so moving on. What is the difference? I'll let any of you take this question. What is the difference between atheist activism and Christian evangelism in terms of function? And how do we prevent atheists from evangelizing?
Can I? So the thing that makes this question super weird is the idea of function. But the thing that came to mind was there's no atheist Great Commission. There's no authority telling us that we have to go and baptize people in the name of Richard Dawkins and make disciples. That's not how it works on our end. Ideally, what atheists are doing is encouraging sort of just the proliferation of skepticism and then allowing that to do the rest of the work. But that immediately struck me as the biggest difference is that there's no authority compelling us to do what we do.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but in also the word that struck me in it was function. If we're to go, I mean, it's a little bit antagonistic, but really, if somebody is evangelizing for a religion, they are in general encouraging people to restrict their worldview. Whereas if we were to do that, we're encouraging people to broaden their horizons and use more skepticism rather than less.
And also, there's also no threat of punishment. That's a huge difference between that and specifically Christian evangelism. There's no atheist hell if you don't believe what an atheist tells you about the nature of reality or if there's a God or not. Nothing's going to happen to you.
Well, I mean, I've been told that if you don't become an atheist, that you'll be punished forever by having to listen to Ken Hovind and Darth Dawkins on repeat over and then whatever his name is with the anti-atheism guy, over and over and over again. What the hell is atheist evangelism?
Again,
that
this
mean?
is
Are you
not
walking out?
These are
walking
coming
outside of big signs. Atheism is real. Yep, sure is.
It's one of those phrases which I've had a problem with for years. Like when you talk about these new atheists. Well, what's that?
Well,
what's a new atheist? Is that an atheist that's written a book?
Well, no. New atheism was a movement like 10 years ago.
Yeah, but it still gets used a lot. But I'm not aware of what it actually means.
I was going to ask, can somebody kind of explain what that is?
I think it's a worldview. Just kidding. That's not no.
Exactly.
Well, it's amazing.
It's a meaningless concept. It's just a way of trying to disenfranchise some marginally famous people who'd written books that a lot of folk didn't like. So they called them new atheists because then they could say they were aggressive and strident. And they were just guys who'd written a book who asked questions.
It's definitely used as a pejorative. It's definitely not anything that anybody ever. If you hear that term come up, it's definitely they're definitely trying to screw in the conversation and weasel in some kind of backhanded sort of jab.
Just a generally meaningless phrase.
It's funny when I hear atheist evangelism, and I can usually count backwards from 5 before I hear them talk about how evolution's wrong. Because it's usually atheist evangelism. You're pushing this worldview of evolution, abiogenesis onto people. I was like, well, okay, what conversation do you want to have? I mean, do you want to have this conversation or that one? And that's usually what you run into is like, well, we start off having one conversation, but then you're going to insist on having this one.
Yeah.
Can I pose? I'm sorry. I was just going to ask you all. Anytime that you state that you are an atheist, and I think that this kind of goes to the whole thing about atheist activism versus evangelicalism. Did I get that right? Evangelism. Yeah. Anywho, have you ever found that, you know, some theists, when you even state that you're an atheist, all automatically kind of clam up and then feel that just because you stated that you're an atheist, that you're trying to change their mind about how they believe?
Oh yeah, it's a
Sure.
defensive posture immediately. Like, why do you got to tell everybody you're an atheist? Because that's on the internet, you know, atheist Husker. That's me. Like, why you tell everybody you're an atheist? Nobody ever asks people, why do you tell people you're a Husker? Right? Probably because nobody knows what the hell that is. But
I'm about to say, what's a Husker?
Yeah, well, I mean, wait, if you're from anywhere near Nebraska, you would know, or the Midwest, or corn.
Oh.
Anyways, but no, yeah, I get that a lot, and that's why the conversations I have, I straight up and down, like, look, I'm not trying to trick you. I just want to have a conversation. I'm not trying to make you become an atheist. I can't make you become an atheist. Like, I'm not going to. And I just want to know about you and about what you believe. And then I want to talk to you about the New Testament and why it's wrong. So
to that is why I think there's a difference, is that, you know, anytime that a person, like, you know, if I state, hi, I'm Cynthia and I'm an atheist. Hi, Cynthia. And then we go from there. All of a sudden, then there's going to be this whole like pushback just because you say that that's what you are. Mm-hmm. And I would love to get to the point where it's not an issue per se. Like,
yes,
you know, like if I state that this is what I am, and you may not necessarily, you know, roll with that you don't necessarily try to push your way of thinking, believing, living on me. I had this whole long back and forth on Twitter yesterday, and this and it was a pastor that actually posed a question concerning about polygamy, and if polygamy would be something that would be viable for today. And one of the things that I said is that I don't necessarily have a problem with it as long as every person that is within that realm are an adult and they are consenting. And then you know, I got a whole bunch of, and then I said something else to that effect, you know, concerning that design and whatnot. And the pastor retweeted me. And then all of a sudden, like, all these Christians just came just hammering down on me just because I had that. And then, you know, and one of the things that I even mentioned, saying that, you know, even if you look at monogamy versus polygamy in the Bible, you really don't have like a hard stance on monogamy until the epistles of Paul. And then they said, well, Jesus said that. I said, well, you know, according to the Bible, he was talking more so about divorce, but but he never really spoke specifically against polygamy. And then it was a whole thing. And then they were basically trying to convince me that polygamy is not the will of God. And how dare you say these different things? And I was like, I was just trying to have a conversation. I wasn't trying to everybody say that, you know, go around and get you a whole bunch of, you know, women to get you a harem and go forth. That is not what is happening here. Oh, you know, and I find that happens a lot. You know, especially when you're just trying to have an honest conversation about, you know, this different things. And I understand that, you know, maybe because I'm an atheist, it's going to kind of make me think a little bit differently about, you know, certain things that certain people may see as morally wrong. But, you know, but that in itself is an argument. It's, you know.
Well, that's also, I think, a bit of a difference between us as well. Like, there are people in here that hold different suppositions than I do regarding the universe and components of the universe, and you know, conservative, even like the evangelical side, if you want to call it that. There are people who are more like you know, that are more argumentative than I am, and then difference. There are, crazy as that may be.
I can't picture that.
That when it comes to I also wear like the atheist wristband. So many comments about that.
Send me one. Send me one, please.
You can get it from the Atheist Republic, and we have different answers to a lot of different questions. because again, it's the only thing that we have in common. You and Cynthia, you came across this wall that we get where it's all the same scripted answer all the time. That's why they try to make it atheist evangelism, right? Try to make it the same as what they do, but it's not. When I talk to people about their religion, I know I'm going to get a script, sure. But I'm not the same person as you talked to 5 minutes ago. I don't hold the same foundation maybe as they do, right? I am completely different than my partner when it comes to that. And she's much more better at this and much more better. Look at me, see, than I am. And yet when we talk with people, like we have like live streams and stuff, people are constantly surprised because we don't have the same scripted answers.
Yes.
And that's the difference. That is the big difference.
It goes back to the worldview question again. They desire, it's not something which happens in the UK. So it's a bit something I've observed watching lots of YouTube stuff, lots of you guys, Americans, talking with other Americans. And it seems that a lot of believers desire that atheists conform to a set of prescribed beliefs, a set of a worldview. And as you say, Nathan, they just don't.
Right.
They just don't. There's just one thing they have in common. And apart from that, they're completely disparate people.
Yeah.
So I'd like to, before we get to our next question, I do want to circle back real quick because Shannon Q is watching, and we were actually talking about her about 15 minutes ago. And her debate with Darth Dawkins. So
right, that was.
I don't want to spend too much time on this guy, but at the same time, I have this crazy idea that there's nobody that we can't get through to. We just have to find a way.
Ethan, are you aware that people like Darth Dawkins are impossible to get through to?
I don't know that they
No. Did you see what I did there? That's exactly what Shannon Q pointed out that Darth Dawkins will do. I framed a question in a way that both answers are going to reinforce what I just said is true. I said, are you aware that whatever you say to Darth Dawkins is not going to work and make him, I say, are you aware of that? Which basically infers that whatever I'm about to say is already true.
It'd be like if you walked up to someone looking for a date and you said, if I asked you out, would the answer to that question be the same as the answer to this question?
Right.
So the famous one, when did you stop beating your wife?
Exactly.
Fun.
So people have to be open to be reached in that sense, Ethan. And if somebody's happy living in their own belief system, debating and trying to break down other people, as he clearly is, Darth Dawkins, then you're not going to reach him because he doesn't want to be reached.
He's not there to have a conversation. He's there to reinforce what he already believes. He's there to try to get you to follow him down his rabbit hole.
Right.
But there's an interesting point, that I was thinking of when on the previous question of how do people react when I say I'm an atheist, and it varies not too much. There's three things that happen. There's the running of the script that will happen if I'm talking to someone who's into apologetics. There's a lot of people who will just say, well, then how do you have your morality? That's fairly common. But then there's a lot of people who will genuinely be concerned about my soul. And they'll want to talk to me about, are you aware of what's going to happen to you if you don't believe? And not in a threatening or malicious way. They're worried about me. And there's those people I find to be reachable. The people who ask me about my morality tend to be more open to conversation. And the people who run the script, they're not engaging with you because they want to have an honest conversation. There's, for someone like a Duncan Dawkins, whatever the hell he's going by this week, his apologetics, it's essential. It's central to his identity. It's who he is as a person. And if he starts to give up any ground at all, it's undermining like everything about his sense of self. It's really, really running deep with someone like that. And I admire Ethan's desire to engage with those people. But I don't know. I don't know if a person like that is ultimately open to being talked to.
Are they open? No. But here's the thing. You just, in my opinion, and I'm not experienced at this. However, I'd like to say I do have good experience in speaking with people. You just have to find the thing that disarms them, that gets them off their script. And typically with someone like Darth Dawkins, it's not going to work if you just keep like I love Shannon Q's approach, and I consider myself approach similar. I consider my approach similar to hers, only significantly less knowledgeable. But I don't know. I have that hopeful idea that there's a way we can get through to someone like him. But
yeah, I've never seen anyone interact with him better than she. I mean, I literally was watching the same debate just like not more than a few hours ago. She's fantastic.
Yes,
but
and the door for the neighborhood.
She was trying to talk to a person, not a script, and that's where the disconnect happens.
I loved it. She was on top of it when just like I said before, the way he frames his questions, she was on top of that. She was like, "Oh, so we're just gonna presuppose whatever you're about to say is already true, and you're gonna ask me if I know about that." Yeah, it's a completely shit way of talking to people.
I agree. And real quick, Shannon Q, just so you know, your friendly neighborhood atheist doors are always open to you. And if any other atheists are watching, we're going to be doing a roundtable every month, and we're always looking for more people to come on and contribute.
Yeah.
So regarding people like Darth and presuppositionalists, do you think they realize how condescending they're being?
Yes.
You do?
Some do.
Yes.
I believe that they think that they're right.
Oh, that, yeah.
And I think that and that's the foundation of any time that, presuppose anything is that if I have these particular beliefs and I'm grounded in these particular beliefs or what have you, I'm right. And no matter what you say, even if you challenge what I think, I'm still right. And it's very difficult to actually have a conversation or let alone get through to any person like that. I remember I was talking to my niece earlier, and she loves to, pose things to me, and I love saying back to her, prove it, and she thinks that I just don't happen to believe, or I'm skeptical of everything. And I said, well, yeah, I am kind of, but at the same time, if you give me something to think about, if you give me something to actually chew on, if you give me some, like something like evidence to say this is what this is, I'll turn on a dime and say, you know what, you're right. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to corner the world on being right all the time, even though I really, really, really like being right. Ask my boyfriend. But at the same time, but if I'm wrong, or if I can be making sure that if I'm proven wrong, then I have to acquiesce. And that's the problem oftentimes with people who are like that. They're just married and committed to being right, even in their wrong. And
but are they capable? That's the thing. Well, are they cognitively willing to be able to state when they are incorrect, if they're shown that to be the case? And that's what I mean when I speak with these individuals, and I try not to, by the way, and because this is the level of person that, at least in my estimation, if we're speaking of the same types of people, that when they find something that I may not be as well versed in or have as much research as I have in other areas, that they then exploit that in an attempt, not during a conversation, not to teach, which is a moment to educate, empathetically, right? To be able to bring it to the table and say, here, let me show you what I mean. That's the moment these individuals that I have had interactions with take to not show there's an opportunity, but rather to show how ill-informed this atheist is, how ignorant they are, and how to beat into the ground over and over again. And I found that to be the case. But are they capable, willingly capable, of saying I was wrong about something? That's one I've never seen.
Does it depend possibly upon how much fear underlies their own belief system? If they're truly afraid of the punishments of a lack of belief, then they will do anything to defend that belief, including all manner of self-deception, subterfuge, aggression. I think it depends on how much fear is there.
I think it also depends to a great deal on how invested they are in being a professional minister and or apologist. You know, the social pressure. I mean, I've been in preparation of the discussion with Dean. I've been sort of waterboarding myself with William Lane Craig videos, and
oh, bless your heart.
There's not an argument that Craig has made in the last 30 years that hasn't been thoroughly, picked apart but he keeps using them. And I think the charitable thing to do is to just say that, the good Dr. Craig just continues to believe that he's right. But I don't know how a guy as smart as him could do that. But I try to, putting yourself in his shoes, this guy's whole career is being Mr. Rockstar apologist guy. He's not going to get up there and say, I was totally wrong about this stuff. Like, it's just not going to happen. The stakes are too high. And not the eternal stakes. I'm talking about the stakes right here, right now, with speaking tours and books and all that stuff.
Oh, I was about to say, you're talking about his check.
I mean, and social status, and there may be a certain degree. I don't want to speculate too much because there's no way of knowing. But I think that something like the Clergy Project, points to lots of people who they're so deeply invested in, providing a service to people of spirituality or spiritual guidance or whatever, that, I mean, they can't really back out. It would destroy their lives. And I mean, they could, but the pressure is, extreme.
The effects of that could be, kind of devastating to their whole livelihood per se. Is that what you're saying? Livelihood,
social standing, sense of self. I mean, it's a whole package. I mean, I'm no social worker. I mean, I don't know about this stuff, but that
would be me.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that the best thing that we can do is people who are engaging in this in a public space is to just be as charitable as possible with these people. I mean, don't let them get away with making bad arguments by any means, but
Well, no, I had actually said that was the reason the other day why you see more and more apologists are kind of like, I don't know, evolution maybe, instead of actually addressing it, because if they say no, this creationist is nonsense, they'll lose money. And so it's definitely dishonest. But I was even speaking with, like, in a private chat the other day with a Christian who was approached by some atheists and wanting to debate something like the mythicist position or something of that nature. And I said, are you sure you're ready to do that? I said, because not every debater is an honest person. And we don't know how much a person knows, but I know how much you know, and I want to make sure that you're ready for this. And I want to make sure that you are honestly ready for the possibility of maybe looking bad, and that people will view you differently, and you might lose some viewers. I want you, and there was, I think, that type of, and he's obviously, I mean, he's fine, but I just want to make sure that he knows that this is like first debate type thing. And, but yeah, there's a lot of that where, I don't want to lose viewers. And so I'm not going to take this position that is counter to some of the loudest, even at the minority, the loudest of the more evangelical side of things.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. And I think this is where you and I may differ. So, because I was asked why I'll keep engaging and booking guests to debate or discuss who are more knowledgeable than me. Why am I not scared of looking stupid? And to me, I would only look stupid if I'm not willing to learn. If I'm there to learn something, then I don't care if I look stupid. Like, every time I get to talk to any of you, anytime I get to talk to a theist, to me, it's a learning opportunity. And that's why I personally am more willing and passive to meet on their ground. I'll accept some of the more ridiculous arguments just to try, give them some leeway, try and meet them in the middle or on their ground, because to me, that's where we start making those changes. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, have any of you ever told someone how wrong they were, and they were immediately like, you're right, you changed my mind? And that's where, okay, has that happened before?
Yeah, one time.
I'm a teacher, so it happened.
Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah.
It depends on who I'm talking to, I guess. Yeah, it just depends.
Okay, I guess I should be religious specific.
Yes.
Have you ever immediately told someone how wrong they were for their reasons for believing in God, and they were immediately changed?
I've never told them how wrong they were, but I've asked them questions where they've been like, "Wait a minute, I think I might be wrong about this."
Yeah, I've had
That's
that.
what I would say. I'd say that
but
too.
we're also talking about a discussion, not a debate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had discussions with, theists who are who I pointed out, certain things about their belief systems. And I was told specifically by one who's a friend of mine, Cynthia, you're right, but I'm still Team Jesus.
Yeah. Well, no, that cognitive dissonance is
I was
there.
actually
You get them there.
I was actually at I'm living in Florida now. I'm from Alabama originally, but it's all the South really. So we got the same diehard believers here. But I found that there was going to be a aeronautics expert of some stripe giving a talk about evolution at a church, and it was completely anti-evolution. It was and I had a back and forth with the pastor a little bit on their Facebook page. I'm like, why would you bring someone who's in aeronautics? He's got a PhD in it. Okay, he's got a PhD, but what does he have to say about evolution? And they gave me the spiel about, well, you don't have to be an expert in the field to be able to speak on it. Well, you kind of do. I mean, why don't you? I mean, I'm not going to the podiatrist to get my heart checked out. But I went.
Why not?
I went to this thing, and I went to this thing, and the guy gets up there, and it was as bad as you could. Imagine the worst possible presentation of what evolution is, and it was worse than that. He actually used a picture of Hitler at one point. It was insane.
They did a lot.
It was so insane. But they did let us have questions, and I asked him a question, and he got up, and he just he just had no idea how to respond to it. And I can't remember the question I asked him, but as soon as it was over, he made a beeline straight for where I was standing. And he's just like, oh, yeah, I'd like to talk to you some more about it. I'm like, great, let's do that. And so I started asking him some more questions. Like, you brought this up. What is this about? What is this about? And he's just standing there, and we have a little crowd forming around us now. And he said, well, I really don't know about that. I was like, you just got up in front of people, and you're about to do it again tomorrow, telling these people that you knew all these things and you present these things as fact. And now you get in front of me and you're like, oh, well, I'm not really sure. I mean, you need to make up your mind, and you need to figure out what it is you know, what it is you're actually willing to tell people.
Right.
That reminds me of.
But I was going to ask if anybody that was standing there changed their mind, though, even though he did that.
Well, I'm hoping that someone just got through listening to that and then immediately saw him turn around and go, oh, well, I really don't know about that. I really don't know about that. That's who I'm trying to convince. Because this guy's in it for a check. Like you said, this guy is supplementing his income going to churches and giving talks about evolution. So it's pretty. I mean, to me, it was obvious that a lot of the things he was bringing up, he does not expect to have any contrary beliefs in the audience.
I think without a doubt, there are those charlatans out there. I mean, Ray Comfort comes to mind, or like Kent Hovind comes to mind, but they're very similar to what you're talking about, John. So when I was a kid, my very first ever science classes were at the Institute for Creation Research in San Diego with a guy, Dr. Henry Morris. And Dr. Morris's doctorate was in like hydraulic engineering. It had nothing to do with biology. And I mean, I don't know. Nathan's familiar with him, but like, I don't know if there's anybody who's more. I don't know if there's anybody more responsible for the initial sort of proliferation of young Earth creationist nonsense in the United States. I mean, that was kind of like ground zero for it. And people just kind of took it in. And like you said, he knew his audience. He'd go to churches and he'd sell his books at homeschooling conventions and stuff, and people ate it right up. It's a problem. That's kind of why we're out here doing what we're all doing.
That's why we probably go to those churches and say, why aren't you in a university teaching this? Oh, because you got laughed out of one. Good to know.
That's exactly why I went to that day. I was like, you know what? Even if no one else, I invited other atheists to come too. Nobody else came, but I was like, if nothing else, I'm going to at least get one question in. I'm at least going to get one opportunity to kind of show everybody, hey, this guy doesn't know exactly what he's claiming to.
Yeah, see, and that right there, that's not atheist evangelism either. That's saying, don't listen to this person.
Right.
But
They're
it's refusing to let you have your echo chamber. It's refusing to let you completely pander.
Or I'm sorry, or is that atheist evangelism? Maybe that's what they asked me what it is.
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, like, it's like one of the things that I said previously. I'm like, if what you're saying is true, then it should stand up to scrutiny.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple. I mean, like, if you go to a lecture and you're saying X, Y, and Z, then you should have substantiated evidence or empirical evidence to back what you're saying. And if you don't, and if I challenge you on what you said, either you're going to answer my question or you're going to get mad. And and oftentimes folks get mad. I'm like, yeah.
So we're going to get to audience questions in just one moment. Prince, I see your question. I'll address it in one moment. If you have any questions for the Atheist Roundtable, put them in the comments. A couple quick things I just want to talk about before I get back to these questions. This Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., Kenneth Leonard will be debating Dean Meadows. Does God exist? And there was a question from the Sassy Heathen. If you had your own YouTube channel, I do not believe you do. You're currently
I do not.
Correct?
But I'm sort of developing some ideas. So yeah.
Awesome. And then what we're gonna have this Thursday, the Godless Engineer is coming to my channel, which I am really and then,
Alabama boy.
And then also right after that, we're having the first ever Women of Atheism Roundtable. And I understand that one of you is going to be the host of that. Is that correct?
That would be me.
Awesome. All right. So before I get to the audience questions, there is one last question I received that I want to ask you. And feel free, whoever wants to take this and eye roll, you're more than welcome to. The super frustrating assertion has been made that to atheists that they cannot know anything. Does the atheist gain any knowledge from adopting atheism? The simple answer for me would be no, but I would love one of you to tackle this.
Well, I would say that if I'm being, if I understood Joel the other day, that the claim wasn't that atheists can't know anything, but that we can't account for how we can know anything. And I think that it's I don't even know why I'm trying to stick up for, but I think that it's often the atheists who get us into trouble here, because we'll say we can't be certain about things, and then certainty becomes conflated with knowledge, and that's where the confusion happens. But I would say I completely agree with Ethan. No, like adopting atheism doesn't add anything at all. You're just saying afraid not to a question. That's it.
Thank you.
Although you could potentially extend that to say that if you're then accepting that any solace that you're going to receive in life is not going to come extrinsically, then you've maybe got some knowledge which you've got to find it inside. You've got to come to terms with your existence on your own terms.
Yeah.
You maybe can't call that knowledge. That's probably really reaching for the word knowledge there. But maybe if there's a mindset difference at some point, maybe that could be partially it.
Yeah, there's definitely a perspective shift for sure. If I understand what Jez is saying, I think I agree completely.
Yeah, I would say that.
Gotta have your Simba moment.
Also,
Simba.
I forgot to promote one last thing. Not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. Jenna Belk is coming back to my channel for a third time. 3 months, 3 times Jenna Belk's made an appearance, and she'll be on What the Puck with, of course, your friendly host Puck. So there you go. It's next Wednesday night. All right. Now I want to get to questions from the audience. If you do have any additional questions, put them in now and we will go through them. So question from Prince. Got from a Calvinist. I think this might be directed at you, Kenneth. Friend of mine, where do you get your morals?
From considering how my actions affect other people.
Yes.
Right. It's also.
Yes.
I find that to be a weird question too. Say where. Is there a location where more? Can I get my GPS and find
yeah,
where morals come from?
My brain.
yes, John.
My brain.
I mean, it's to me, the morality thing is so completely obvious, and I don't know how people actually make this so complicated. If I lived in a world where punching someone in the face made them feel amazing, it would not be wrong for me to punch someone in the face.
Right.
This would be like shaking hands or something. It's like the physical facts of the universe are exactly where we get our morals from. But by assessing the world we find ourselves in and acting in a way that limits suffering and maximizes pleasure. It is.
Yeah. What you said there, it's if you rephrase the question as how do you arrive at moral judgments? Well,
right.
I just think about myself and other people. My effect on my actions, rather than from where do you get them? As you say, it's completely incorrect phrasing.
And like another way to answer the question to someone like that is to say probably the exact same way that you do. You think about,
I just simply say because of well-being.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, whatever compels me to be a moral or ethical person would just determine for me just to garner to well-being. I don't see how we can build a family, community, or a society without having those particular foundational portions of ourselves to, like you mentioned, John Anthony, like if it feels so great to just go randomly punch people, you would do it, but it doesn't. Or go around just like murdering people, or stealing or whatever. I mean, like, we wouldn't be able to live even any way remotely cohesive if that's the way that you're constantly with your life.
It's a matter of take action X and extrapolate to what would happen if everyone took action X. And then evaluate what that would mean, the potential consequences, benefits, and then go from there. It's not this insanely difficult thing that everybody makes it out to be, in my opinion. It's there is definitely gray area, there's definitely nuance, there's definitely discussion that has to be had about it. But at the basic level, why do we even have morals and things like that? Because it's pragmatic.
Well, I always tell them it's because the evolution.
Right.
Because it absolutely is. Now it's a loaded question from Calvinists. It's on purpose, of course. How do you have your foundations of morality without God telling you what's good, bad, in between? And they try to get around the Euthyphro dilemma, and I understand that. I just let them know it's because we realized in the beginning we probably shouldn't kill each other. You're welcome.
Right. I mean, why did you cut that person's head off? God didn't tell me not to.
Well, not only that, but we're not going to survive.
Yeah.
Right, that's the thing.
And then I would even say, like, but a lot of these principles are even I don't want to use the word copy, but you see a lot of them, like, in some type of shape, way, or form in a lot of different societies, and even like in religions.
Well, you see them in other species as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, so like that, I think that's just more of a, like, humanistic value, or even mammalian, or earthly value, just to actually, operate that way.
I was listening to a discussion last night, and the Christian asking the questions of the atheist in the discussion was saying, well, if morality just comes from our brains and we're just, monkeys, then what's the difference between us and monkeys? Can we trust our monkey brains? And my thought, this isn't how the guy I was watching answered it. He just kind of got offended at the question because he was Christopher Hitchens and he just got mad at the guy. So but I was thinking about it. I was like, well, monkeys, we know we can trust our monkey brains, and you can look at monkeys and see that monkeys are here generation after generation, and that their decisions in the world lead to the continued proliferation of monkeys, and monkey societies have rules. There's empathy, there's structures that you see in monkey societies, and we can look at those monkey societies and start asking, well, how do we want our society to be different than the monkey society? And before you know it, once you start asking those questions, you arrive at a moral system. It's not hard.
I
think society is a key word, because in so many ways you can almost replace it by social behavior. What is social behavior? What is antisocial behavior? We have the words, and immoral acts so often fall under the gamut of antisocial behavior.
Well, yeah, but then you're just talking about socialism. You're trying to convert Americans here. Why?
Right. How dare you?
I want to get to the next very important question here. Is there a cannabis strain that would help theists overcome cognitive dissonance?
Oh my God. And that would have to become my boyfriend.
Yes. Belgian truth.
Sitting next to you.
No, he's at home. Oh my gosh. I don't know, but that's definitely something to research. I will tell you that.
I will tell you, it is okay. This is going to be a non sequitur from hell, but I live in Portland. Again, shadow of St. Helens, tomorrow, 40 years. And also over here on this side over here, this is actually Mount Adams as well, named for President John Adams. It's in Washington, so unimportant. And weed is legal here, very much legal, recreationally legal. You can actually drive through and pick it up. Portland, least religious city in the country. I don't know. Maybe the two are connected.
All right. Sorry.
There's a what do you call those things? A dispensary, literally a 5-minute drive from my house because weed is now legal in Chicago.
That's right. You guys got it like 6 months ago, right?
Yeah. I was like at the beginning of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I guess I can try them out, see if they kind of change. Since I used to be a theist, I don't know. I'm just saying that's definitely an experiment I wouldn't mind trying to engage in.
Feel like if it's legal, I mean, why not?
Hey.
Real quick, to a God for the Atheist, he said, you people need to read Einstein's views on knowledge and imagination. So real quick, I'll make you a deal. If you present an argument to me that passes under the scrutiny of my theist friend, Larry, then I will present it to the Atheist Roundtable, but it has to be able to surpass Larry. So I think that's a pretty good challenge.
I was going to say, what do you mean by you people?
I
think IQ asked that in the comment section too. What you talking about, you people?
Real quick. So Shannon was talking about her cat. So I just have to introduce you to the cutest atheist on the planet. My cat.
Yeah, I got corgis.
Right. I don't get a chance to put my pet in here because she'll be through the entire stream, but that's okay. Oh, cute.
In closing, John Anthony, is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
No. Come check out my YouTube channel. I promise to post more content. I'm just getting started with that, but I'd love to have more subscribers than I do fingers. So please come by.
And how do they find you? What's your channel name?
It's under John Anthony. There's a lot of them though, but if you come find me on Facebook, facebook.com/JohnAnthony1019, I'll message me, add me as a friend or whatever, and I'll give you the channel link.
You know what we need to do? We need to get John Anthony to 100 subscribers so he can get a custom channel name.
That would be awesome.
Jez, anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
No. I've got nothing.
You're on your own.
In the morning. I've been up for 23 hours now nearly, so I'm tired.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. It's been great.
Where can they check you out at, and anything you'd like to add?
Sorry. Go.
Jez, go ahead. No, please.
No,
sorry, Jez, I apologize. I thought you were finished.
I was confused. Carry on.
Such a nice British guy. Yeah, definitely Divine Disbelief over there. It's the YouTube channel. Of course, you can also follow us on Twitter. You can follow Motel Cowboy. That's my partner. She's on there as well on Twitter. We try to put stuff out every single Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, whatever that is time for you. I don't know. And we talk about a lot of things, secular news and opinion. We have a new premiere video coming up. Inspiring Philosophy is probably not going to like it. And that's going to be hopefully this week. And let's see. Yeah, just go follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And I think the Dose Corgis 15 are on Insta and on, so you can go see corgis, right? Who doesn't want to see corgis? Honestly.
It's true.
The Queen's got them. And again, tomorrow, 40 years. 40 years tomorrow, this thing exploded, right? Not you, John, back here. Adams over here. No, again, nobody cares about you. Sit down. It's this one right here. St. Helens, the one without The one with the got a haircut, a little off top.
Cynthia, I understand you have a show going on. When did the audience see you?
Like I said, I'm one half host of the 13th% along with Richard Graves on Ethan's channel, YFNA News. So we are how many subscribers away from getting our
okay? Check this out. If anyone can, we are literally on my second channel. We are 19 subscribers away from a custom channel name. So it is YFNA News, which stands for Your Friendly Neighborhood Atheist News. So if you can, we're literally 19 subscribers away from a custom channel name. So go subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe. The 13% is actually a more of a show on a socio-political show, speaking on Black issues and how it affects Black people and all that stuff that's Black. Yes, because I'm Black. So anywho, yes, please check us out. We are on 6:30, was it daylight Central Time? Every other Wednesday. So not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday we'll be doing another show, which is going to be entitled something. And also check us out on May 20th for, did you come up with the name already?
21st?
May 21st?
The Women of Atheism Roundtable?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Women of Atheism Roundtable. What time is that going to be?
Actually, I should have had that ready. Okay, so the Women of Atheism Roundtable is going to be May 21st at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and we're going to have Cynthia McDonald hosting, Jenna Belk, Susan Turpin, Cindy PLAZA.
Susan Turpin.
Did I say that right?
I know her.
Oh yeah, I would hope you do. And then Nervardia. So I am pretty excited. We have some good YouTubers coming on board, so this is going to be a good time.
Yeah.
I believe I will be sitting down this Friday with Craig Reed and S.J. Thomason on her channel. So I'm
yay!
I'm really excited about that. So yeah.
Can I say real quick, God for Atheists, please tell everyone to read Jeremiah 23. I did that already. Continue.
Make sure you read Jeremiah 29 as well. Just saying.
Yeah, read that. Yeah, just read the whole book of Jeremiah.
Why not?
Read. Why not?
Just read Micah. Micah, that's a good one. Short one.
Yeah.
Even better, read some other books. Like just put that one down and go read a whole bunch of other ones.
Yeah, you should. You should read this one right here. Read that one. Hebrew Myths right here. The Book of Genesis. Read that. It's where they got all their stuff from. You're welcome.
Oh, since we're talking about morality, read this one.
Ooh.
Good.
I don't have a book next to me.
I don't either.
I've got libraries next to me. I was actually looking for the morality and sapiens books that I recommend to people, and they're like, "Where do you get your morals from, chap?" Sorry, Jez, couldn't help it. I don't really know what continent that one came from. It's probably a mix of them.
Right.
So
it was uncanny.
100%.
All right. Well, I want to please stay on the line for a moment. Don't disconnect. But everyone, I want to thank you all for coming in, especially you, Jez, for staying up for nearly 24 hours straight, joining us all the way from the UK.
Yeah.
And you know what the coolest part about this is? I literally met all of you people through Facebook and debating, and it's cool. Like I'm meeting friends that I haven't actually met, and it really is a great experience. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, everyone, check out their channels. I hope you enjoyed this. We will be doing another Atheist Roundtable in 1 month. And if you could, like and subscribe, and everyone have a wonderful evening.